What's up, everyone? Dylan here, and in today's video, I want to talk about why I'm giving up alcohol for at least a year. So like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video. Two things before I get into the 5 reasons that inspired me to give up alcohol. So the first is if you are struggling with alcohol, either personally or someone in your life, I am not a medical expert. I am not equipped to deal with that. I'm just some guy on the internet. However, if this video can be a inspiration or provide you some guidance or some hope or just some insight in the troublesome times that you're going through, I'm very happy. But the next thing is you need to go out there and find resources, and there's an abundance of them to provide you help so you can make the right decision for your life and for the person and people that you care about. So always seek help for this, because alcoholism and addiction are serious things, and they can be fixed. They can be fixed, but it takes time and effort and oftentimes professional help. And I'll say another thing is that it's not your fault, right? When it comes to if someone else has an addiction, like, it's not your fault that they do. You want to be able to empower them, but you don't want to enable them. And so definitely seek out the resources there. And if you are struggling with it, I will say it is your fault. I know the alcohol can take a hold of you, but it's up to you to decide to change, to make changes in your life, to make changes in your priorities and your focus, to remove something that you feel is destroying your relationships or destroying your ability to be the person that you want to be. So you can decide to make today day one, or you can keep saying, hey, one day I'll give it up. It's up to you to take action and make the change in your life that you want to see. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it all comes down to you. If this is something that you are struggling with or you're dealing with, you have to make that choice. And the second thing is when I made that choice to give up for a year, I didn't necessarily have a problem with alcohol. Like, personally, I'm not a huge drinker. I like it. I enjoy it. I had my fair share of experiences, like positive and negative, through my past of drinking. But it wasn't like there was an event or anything that happened that made me be like, okay, I really need to give it up. That often happens to people. And if that hasn't happened to you yet, and you drinking and you think it could happen, or you don't want that to happen, it's better to take action before something happens. You hurt yourself, you hurt others, you get a DUI, whatever it is. It's much better to not have those things happen than be forced to make a change. It's much better to make the change within yourself. Force yourself to make a change before someone else does it for you. And that was for me. That was a decision I made. And it's like, I wasn't going down a dark path or anything like that. I just realized that where I wanted to go, I don't think alcohol would serve me. And then I made the decision. Here are the 5 reasons why. So number 1 is health and fitness. If you don't know, I do care about my health and fitness. I've shared videos on that. I will continue to share videos. I'm a former Division I track runner. I was a sprinter. I played soccer growing up, so I've been athletic, and I've just stuck to it. I love mountain biking, snowboarding, running, paddleboarding. I love being able to move my body in the world around me, get my heart rate up, and experience life like that. And alcohol inhibits that, right? It's tough to do that when you're drunk. It's also tough to do that when you're hungover. And there's an abundance of studies out there. I don't think there's controversy here that says alcohol is not good for your health and fitness. Even just one drink can completely wreck your health and fitness. Like, it destroys your sleep. And especially when you're drinking later at night, it can really impact your sleep. And sleep is one of the most important things for people to be able to function at their highest level. And sleep is something that I've been focusing on improving over time. And it's definitely always a work in progress. And alcohol and good sleep, they don't really pair together. Number 1 is primarily for my health and fitness. And because I want to live to be 120, 150. Technology is coming out there, and I don't want those years. I don't want the next 50, 60, 70 years of my life to be where I can't do the things. I want to be that 80, 90-year-old person on the mountain skiing down or snowboarding down. I want to be riding a mountain bike. I met an 80-year-old the other day that has been mountain biking for 30 years, over 30 years. He was about making when he was 50, and he's 80, and he's in fantastic shape. I want to be that as best as possible. Now, there's things I can't control, but one of the things I can control is how I treat my mind and body now, and how I build my foundation day in, day out going forward, so that I can do the things that I want with the people that I love in the future. Okay, so health and fitness, number 1, right? That is for me. Number 2, save money. And for me, stack sats. So let me grab my book right here. So I am the author of the Bitcoin Business Accelerator. It's the follow-up to the Crypto Business Accelerator. Number 1 best-selling author. I know this is a mini pitch, but here, you're on my channel. But this book teaches you how to start and grow Bitcoin consulting businesses, and what Bitcoin is, how to use it, how to understand it. And one of the things for me that I do is I do a daily dollar cost average into Bitcoin. And if you don't know, alcohol is expensive. If you go out, like you can maybe get beer for like $7, decent beer, and then next thing you know, you have a few of those. Or if you get a cocktail, they're anywhere between $10 to $15 or more for a decent cocktail. And so you can end up spending $30, $40, $50, $100 or more per night that you go out. And that's not even including if you're taking someone else out with you. So you can end up spending a lot of money on alcohol. And just think about this. Just if you go out once a week and you spend $100, that's $400 a month. So this isn't like me saying, don't buy your daily coffee for $5. That stuff adds up too. But this is $400 that you are buying something that doesn't support your health and fitness, right? What could you do with an extra $400 a month? That's $4,800 a year. That's a lot of money that you could save. And for me, like that's $4,800 a year that I could apply if I was spending $100 a week on alcohol, which I wasn't. But if I was, right, if that was in your budget, and that's not an unreasonable budget for people spending on alcohol, people spend way more. You could buy a lot more Bitcoin for that. And your future self will probably thank you by buying Bitcoin instead of alcohol. And you can use the same idea of philosophy for other types of investments, saving that money, saving it for a vacation, buying a loved one something special, whatever it is that is important to you and that you value for money. You could save all that money for a year and potentially put a down payment on some sort of property, some sort of land, or some sort of real estate deal. There's a ton of options out there. And I'll talk about how you can do that in the third one, but you definitely save money when you don't drink. And so that was one of the other reasons. So I want to save money. I want to stack more sats. Bitcoin's cheap right now. I want to buy more of it. So that's reason number 2, saving money. And number 3 is more time. Alcohol you're basically borrowing time from your future self to enjoy the present. So you're sacrificing your future for the present, because if you ever had a hangover, you know that if you've been out and drinking, you may have had a blast. It may have been an amazing time. You may have had amazing memories. But the fact of the matter is, the next day is you're basically useless, right? You're in bed all day. You're hungover. You don't want to do anything. You're not motivated. You probably skip that workout. You probably you're out on your diet. You maybe eat something that's unhealthy, right? You are costing yourself, and it's not just a day, okay? Because those habits, those add up, right? If you have multiple days like that in a month, now you're at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many days, depending on how many days you drink, days that you are compromising whatever disciplined, consistent schedule that you want to have in place to become the version of yourself that you want to be. You're setting yourself back. So you're making yourself have to work harder to get to where you want to go. Not to mention, there's a lot of studies and things out there that talk about you don't just recover immediately the next day after you drink alcohol. It can take sometimes up to 2 weeks for your body to reset itself and flush out everything and get back to a normal homeostasis after you've drank. So that costs you time. That's productivity and effectiveness. And for me, I'm young, but I'm more and more realizing the importance of time, and that time is the scarcest asset we have. And it's time, being able to experience time with doing things that you love and with people that you love, and being fully present there is so powerful and it's so beautiful. And it's not something that I want to miss out on. And when I think about this, if by cutting out alcohol, I could have one more visit with my mom or my dad or a relative, or I could have one more adventure with my kids in the future, right? That's completely worth it. If I can see one more grandchild being born because I decided to get rid of alcohol and I gave myself more time in life, or I could be present and aware for those scenarios versus out of it and dilute it because my health has failed. I want that. And it will make that trade in an instant when I really start thinking about it like that. So more time for me. And then the other thing for time is I'm moving in the direction that I want, but I'm not quite where I want to be. And I want more time to do it. It's competitive out there. And if my competitors are out there drinking and getting drunk and I'm not, and I can work and I can be focused and I can feel good every day and show up and have energy, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. Maybe not tomorrow, or maybe not next week, but eventually I'll win. I'll be able to outwork them. I'll be able to put more hours in than they will. And that's a winning strategy. So more time is number 3. Number 4 is it is a challenge. And I like to ask myself and think about this is, what type of man do you want to be? Do you want to be the man? And what type of person, what type of woman do you want to be if you're listening to this? Do you want to be the man that hears about a challenge that could be positive and beneficial for your health and your growth, and that decides not to do that, even though you feel an affinity towards it? Or be the type of man that you feel an affinity towards a positive, beneficial challenge that could be good for your growth, and you do it because that's the type of man you want to be? And I want to be the type of man, and I am the type of man that hears that challenge and I do it versus avoid it. Right? Because I know when I become that man, when I sacrifice my little bitch inside of me, it's like, no, it's okay. You're fine. You don't need to go a year. There's certain occasions where you can drink or whatnot. When I sacrifice that version of myself, I really like the other version of myself, the one that's made a commitment and is consistent and pushes himself. I really like that. And it makes me feel good and really respect myself when I channel that higher self. And that was one of the reasons. And so this challenge, I heard about this challenge first from one of my mentors, Ed Rush, who did it for a year, who wanted to have complete control of everything that goes in his mind and in his body. And if you don't know this with alcohol, is you may think that you want that drink. You may think that you need to drink at a certain social event or whatnot, but oftentimes it's not actually you making that decision. It's your addiction to it's the drug. It's the alcohol. It's the alcohol forming an association with whatever event and then popping up as when that event happens, it's a stimulus and the response is drink alcohol, but it's not actually a conscious choice. And I really realized this or saw this more clearly when I did the 75 hard this past fall. Because in the first 30 days, I'd be in situations where I would normally drink, and that impulse to drink was strong. You can literally feel it, okay? And it's just almost like subconscious, where you just go through the motions. And I had to fight that off. But after about 30 days or a little bit more, that impulse became less and less strong. And then I realized in those situations that like I wasn't in control before. Something else was, some outside force, some outside addiction, some outside drug was in control. And by going that time and doing that, I realized that I can have control and I can have power over that, and it's my choice. But if you give into it, if you keep doing it, you start to lose that power and that control, and the alcohol, the addiction, the outside forces, the outside influence starts to become the decision maker versus you. And so that was something that I want to do. And of course, there's so many mentors and people out there. I had a friend that's doing this, going for a year, and like, well, if my buddy's doing it and I like and respect him, maybe I should do that with him, because that's the type of person I want to be. Those are the type of friends I want to have, relationships I want to have. And then so many mentors, so many people that I look up to, that I'm inspired by, that I want to channel. And these guys in their later 40s, 50s, that they're like, look, there's no point in doing it. I would give it up in an instant. And so I want to channel that in my life now versus having to look back with regret and wish I would have done something like that sooner. So 4, it is a challenge. And number 5, this is personal to me, but I think this is one of the most important things. And to be fair, I think this is the ultimate catalyst for this, was it destroyed the relationship with the woman that I was in love with and that cared about, and I cared about the most important person to me. It destroyed our relationship. And now there's probably some other things there. That's a whole video and a whole topic in itself. But I think it comes down to this question, this fundamental question when it comes to relationships. And this question isn't meant to necessarily be posed literally, but it's just a thought experiment that you should be able to do with yourself, and you should be able to do with a partner, to really give a gauge on a couple things. How much do you respect yourself? And how much do you, because ultimately this question is for yourself, even if I phrase it in a different way, but also how much does the other person respect you? And do you potentially have an unhealthy attachment to something that doesn't serve the higher version of yourself? And so the question is basically this. If you had a choice, 2 choices. If you had a choice to further and continue the relationship with me or continue to drink alcohol, which would be? You can't pick both. So if you further the relationship, there's no alcohol. If you choose alcohol, there's no me, right? If the answer isn't immediately, I pick you, there's a couple problems there. And it's something that it's a situation as a man, it's a situation you should probably walk away from. And one of the red flags in relationships, long-term relationships, is people with unhealthy attachments and addictions. And because you're not a professional, you're not an expert, you can't change them. Only they can change themselves, and you can't just wait around expecting them to change. I was in that situation. They have to choose to change on their own and can be complete themselves before they can actually truly love and give fully in a relationship. And alcohol takes away from that. It takes away from someone's ability to love and get fully in a relationship, like more so than any drugs. It destroys so many things. If it can destroy love, right, that's one hell of a powerful drug and substance. If it can make someone give up love and someone they care about for a drug. And oftentimes they don't have control over that, like I said. But if that happens, just know it's not your fault. And for them, it doesn't necessarily make them an addict. Maybe they just don't like you that much. That's fine. It's okay if people don't like you. It's okay if people have different values and different things. Maybe they haven't thought about that before. Maybe that question hasn't been posed, and it's a serious question. And I think ultimately that question comes down to, it's for yourself, right? And so you can rephrase it is, look, you look yourself go to the mirror, look yourself and say, do I choose the higher version of myself, the person I want to be, or do I choose alcohol? And when you do that, it's, who do I want to be? Do I want to be someone that gets drunk and sloppy and wasted? Do I want to keep putting on 5 pounds every year? Do I want to be the guy just sitting at the bar that becomes a regular there, and that's what I do? And if that is, that's totally fine. There's people out there and they can be great people. But if that's not you, and you really want to do the work and become just the best version of yourself, when it becomes binary, it makes the decision easy. For all the other reasons I listed before, more time, more money, but it's a challenge, all these kind of things. When you give up alcohol, if you can add all those things back in your life, be healthier, have more money, make better investments, have more time to do things, be the version of yourself that completes the challenge, all that kind of stuff, it becomes simple, and it should be an instant. Of course, I give it up. And back to the relationship thing. It doesn't mean that if you're in a relationship with someone and you're going down this path that you can never have alcohol again. If they're an addict, it's a little bit different, right? That does mean that it has to be completely eliminated, completely gone. But people can have healthy relationships with alcohol. You can have healthy relationships with alcohol. It's tough, and you have to manage it, and you can't let it trick you back into those loops, into those circles. And if you have a propensity to fall in those traps or fall in those cycles, right, you should know that about yourself and not make decisions that compromise who you want to be. You compromise your higher self for your lower self. And for my relationship, just back to that real quick, it really came down to alcohol. And it was basically that question, hey, it's basically me or alcohol. Like, I can work on the other things. So we can work on our miscommunications. We can work on whatever else it is. But I can't work on those things if there's a third party, and that third party is alcohol, and that third party shows up uninvited periodically when, she was stressed or anxious or whatever, or even just like out of the blue. That's how it becomes so insidious, is out of the blue. Like, you're just having a drink with a friend, and the next thing you know, you're 5 drinks deep and you can't even talk, right? And it's so sad, and it hurt me so much to see someone that I loved and cared about be in that situation and I not be able to do anything, right? And I'd be in the position, it's like, well, I can't control their actions. I can't like force her to do something or not do something. I can't make those decisions for her. She has to do it. And seeing someone you care about and when you love and care and respect someone, like the best version of themselves, it's a beautiful thing. And it's something I would never want to give up. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing feeling. It's amazing when you have a relationship, but then to see them consistently channel their lower self, consistently indulge that addiction and take away from who they could be, you have to see their actions. And that's who they are. And that's a problem they might be struggling with. And you can do as much as you can to get them help, to try and guide them, to try and help them do positive things. But at the end of the day, the choice is theirs. And I went through that, and it's so sad. And just recognizing that alcohol can do that. If you like love and care about someone, that's not something you want to lose. That is so significant. That's one of the happiest feelings and moments in your life, or have been in my life. And then to basically see just this thing, this dark presence constantly be there, and then that dark presence to be chosen over the relationship, you have to have the self-respect and love and care for yourself and for that person to create that space that is needed for perhaps to be a catalyst for them to heal, but also for yourself, so you can respect yourself and that you can focus and prioritize and create the highest version of yourself so that you can give yourself fully versus making compromises. And that was stuff that I experienced and that I went through. And this ultimately was the catalyst, because if it can destroy a relationship where there's love, where there's care, where there's all that there, it's a dangerous thing. And it's something that I want to ensure that it doesn't create any more problems in my life and that I have full and complete control over it. And so that was the final catalyst for going down this path. So if you're in any situations like that, let me know in the comments below, but you're not alone. And find people to talk to that have been in similar scenarios and get advice from those people. There is definitely resources out there, so definitely check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have questions, I'd be more than happy to talk about them and answer those to the best of my ability. Just know at the end of the day, it's your choice on who and what you involve in your life. And it's okay to have standards, and it's okay, as much as people might try to convince you, or as much as you want it to be in their way, but it's okay to cut alcohol out of your life and to separate yourself from people who can't do that, because you realize the impact they can have on you and your journey. And there are people out there, there are partners out there, there are women out there, there's men out there that feel the same way as you do, that share those values, and that it won't be a friction point in that relationship. And so allow you to truly build together and to connect in a way that you just can't if someone has an addiction or someone values alcohol higher than other things that you value. So just to wrap this video up, just a quick summary of the 5 things on why I gave up alcohol for at least a year is 1, health and fitness. 2 is to save money, stack more sats. 3 is to have more time to live till I'm like 150, right? 4, it's a challenge. I want to be the person that completes challenges versus shies away from them. And 5, if it has the power to destroy a relationship with someone you love, it's something that you have to be very careful around. And it's good to have complete control over it and not let it influence your life, and to form relationships with people that it doesn't control their life and it doesn't create problems, because there are people out there, and it's much better to have relationships with people that have those shared fundamental values than to try and force and make something work with someone that doesn't have that. Those are the reasons. And for me, the philosophy, I heard this from Ed Mylett, so I'll leave this with you. Two things. 1 is just, if you're going through this and you're trying to cut it out, just focus on one more day without alcohol, one more day. And if you keep looking at each day, like it's not like a year, it's just, I'm going to make it to tomorrow. I'm going to make it to tomorrow. I'm going to make it to tomorrow. And sooner or later, you're down the road. And you look back and wow, it's a year, it's 2 years, it's 3 years, it's a day, it's a week, it's been a month. I've never made it this far. Just keep doing one more day. And the final thing, you have to decide, if you're listening to this video, is today going to be day 1, or is it still just going to be one day? Is today going to be day 1 of you starting on your journey of you channeling your higher self and getting rid of the addictions and the vices and the things that are holding you back? Or are you just going to do that one day? And one day may never come. But if today is day one, today is the start of your journey, of your new self, of your new path. And it's not going to be easy. But if you keep pushing forward and you keep focused and you just go one more day, trust me, you'll be blown away by the results. You'll be a completely different person. And it may happen in a week, 2 weeks. You'll feel yourself changing. You'll feel yourself growing. And you'll respect yourself for making that decision to start. So anyways, that is it for this video. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.